James has been waiting patiently. James, welcome. You're on the Tom Sullivan Show.
Hey, Tom, how you doing, man?
I'm doing great. Doing great. What's up?
Hey, one thing I want to say that, when it comes to, I hear a lot of people talk about fair and balanced. You and your radio program is one of the most fair and balanced programs that I listen to, and I listen to you every day.
Thank you very much. I just call it like I see it. It's just I'm not. There's too many people that are too far. I don't know, bought into one side is right, one side is wrong. I think both of these parties have done the exact same thing. One got caught, the other one didn't succeed. That's all. That's the only difference.
Well, I got a couple of points. Just 2 points I want to make. The first point I want to make is, everybody's talking about the alleged relations between the Russians and Donald Trump's campaign,
right,
collusion and stuff like that.
Right.
And I'm not sure how many people understand that when you talk about a connection to the Russians, the Hillary and Bill Foundation had a deal with the Russians where they gave them basically control of the plutonium. And this is a major thing when you talk about plutonium and one of our supposed, greatest allies, our enemies or whatever in the world. Hillary's foundation created this deal with the Russians and the plutonium, and I don't hear a lot of people talking about that. You're talking about alleged and, these ideas, it looks like the Russians were involved with this, that, and the other, but what about the deal that Hillary and Bill Foundation made with the Russians on plutonium? What about that?
It was uranium, and as Secretary of State, she had to sign off on it, and she signed off on transferring 20% of our U.S. uranium to Russia. And the guy who is in charge of Uranium One, which is the company that got the uranium, donated $2+ million to the Clinton Foundation, and lo and behold, 20% of the U.S. uranium was shipped to Russia. Now, there were a number of other investors in this, but this guy that gave the donation to the Clinton Foundation was the recipient of getting the 20% of U.S. uranium transferred to the Russian government. It was under the auspices of this Uranium One company. So, yes, we transferred. She signed off on it. Yes.
Yeah. To me, that seems very suspicious, maybe even borderline treasonous when you talk about uranium and the Russians and making a deal where they actually control 20% of our supply. Uranium.
Listen, if you think that this leak over the weekend, WikiLeaks documents, the emails, what Julian Assange has said is that's nothing. We got a lot more coming. And I would not doubt it one bit, James, if that isn't part of the Clinton Foundation email stuff is going to drop, I don't know, late October?
Yeah. Well, let me say this too, man. My entire life, I'm an African-American man. I grew up in the meanest streets of Oakland and San Francisco. And for my entire life, I've always voted, even when I was out there running around acting the fool. I always voted Democrat until, I just started reading and started understanding history. And I'm just saying that anybody that votes for the Bill and Hillary Foundation or Bill and Hillary themselves, you got to look at what they have done, the negative things, not just the lies on the email and the lies to American people, but, the things that they've actually done that's created a lot of harm, particularly to the African-American community, and the support that they've given to people who are totally against our best interest. And I argue online, and I argue with some of my friends who are staunch Democrats. At some point when you do the same thing over and over again and it does not produce results, you have to do something different. And Donald Trump offers us a vision of something that's completely different than what we've been experiencing in this country. And I'm like this, man. At some point we need to change our direction, because the direction that we're going into right now, more war, more special interests, and then being a politician and enriching yourself, becoming a multi-millionaire, being a politician that says that you're doing something behind the scenes that's not right, because a politician shouldn't get into office and make millions and millions and millions of dollars being a politician. You have to be doing something. Well, I mean, maybe that's why she deleted 30,000 emails and has been lying, because she's doing something that's just not right.
But that whole linkage, I find interesting. As a white man, I look at it, and I can't walk in your shoes. But I do find the linkage between Black America and the Democrat Party fascinating, because it was a Republican group until the 60s, and Lyndon Johnson and the Civil Rights Act and Medicare and welfare and a bunch of other social programs where the government got involved in places they never were involved before. Minority communities were beneficiaries of it, and they said, hey, I know where the bread is buttered on the Democratic side. And they've been voting Democrat heavily ever since. So,
and the funny thing is, during elections, you hear the Democratic Party come to the African American, because everybody that I know, we vote. The African American vote is very important to the Democrats. But the question is, why is it that every time it's an election, we get these promises, and then after the election is over, we continue to see violence in our streets. We continue to see, judicial injustice. We continue to see our communities failing, our young people, not getting the same opportunities.
Right.
At some point, to my African American listeners out here, I mean, and I'm an American, period. I grew up in America. I've never been anywhere else. My great-grandfather, he was born in America. My great-great-grandfather. And so at some point, if you continue to follow the same line and you continue to watch your people fall and fail, you have to do something different. And that's why, in the primaries, I voted for Bernie intentionally to take a vote away from Hillary, but I plan to vote for Trump just because at some point you have to do something different if you want to see changes. And right now we see the same old, and we've been promised that if we vote for Hillary, it's going to be another term. It's basically another Obama term, same policies, policies of war and intervention around the world. We need to focus on America. And everything that Donald Trump says, especially when I listen to his his speech at the Republican convention, I mean, he says everything that Americans need to be paying attention to protect our nation and to keep our people safe.
Yeah, but people
and to bring prosperity back to this country.
People think he's crazy. They're afraid of him because he's different. He's something new. We've never seen anything like him. I can't predict what kind of president he would be. And that scares people. I think a lot of people would rather go for the devil than the devil they don't know.
I'd rather go for the devil I don't know, because he hasn't proven himself to be detrimental to this country, whereas Hillary, quite frankly, Hillary has. She's proven herself to be a liar. And how can you vote somebody in the office of the President of the United States when you know for a fact that they lie? And that's just not a...
I asked that question of my friend Tim in Cedar Rapids, and I said to him, so why is it that Black America keeps voting for these Democrats? And he had a very good answer. He says, because they show up. And I thought, touche, because they show up. Shame on the Republican Party for not reaching out to minority communities. They say they're going to, but I asked the question to people I know that are minorities, and they go, nope, I've never seen a Republican around. So they got to do some work. They can do it if they wanted to.
Yeah. I used to be involved in some major African American organizations, and what I noticed as a pattern is that in the name of African Americans, there's a lot of money to be made. There's a lot of money to be made, and
sure.
And we're going to give money to this program, to that program, but at the end of the day, you say they show up. They show up when it's time for elections, and they show up when it's time to get those dollars. But at the end of the day, the end result is never seen in the streets in our communities. It's never seen. So it's not enough to show up when it's time to get the money and then disappear when the money's in your bank account. We need to see results. And like you said, I would like to see the Republican Party actually make more efforts to be more visible in our communities, because we all have the same kind of ideology where we don't want welfare. We don't want handouts. We just want equal opportunity jobs, which addressed very clearly. We want opportunities to just be successful in our own world without having people pander to us. and just show up when it's time to get our vote. You know what I mean? I want to see people around after the vote's cast and after everything is said and done. We want to see results. And I think it's not just the African-American community. I think it's the nation as a whole. We don't want promises, and we don't want, scandal, and we don't want corruption. We want to see results, and we want to see a strong America. And that's just the point.
You can't legislate people to be no longer racist. So the racists are always out there, but at the same time, there's got to be other ways of trying to figure out how to reduce black unemployment, how to reduce black on black crime in Chicago. Nobody seems to be dealing with that. They're just letting it go because it's a bunch of gangsta guys in a gangsta neighborhood, so we don't need to worry about it. And yet they're
but it's easy. It's easy, Tom. When you have gangsters in every facet of society.
Yep.
But when we're under a microscope, and we're the boogeyman. But I tell you this: the majority of African American people are married. They're hardworking. They're conservative. We all have the same type of values.
Well,
but the media being liberal.
That's the thing. The people that are in black neighborhoods are the ones that have, if they have a high crime, they're trying to raise their kids. They love their children. They don't want them shot. They go to church. They're family oriented. Mm-hmm. I don't know why more black Americans aren't. I mean, they're conservative in everything except politics.
Yeah, and that's the problem. We have to wean ourselves off the teat of liberalism and get back more. I mean, this is a capitalistic society, and to be successful, it's a formula. You have to go to get educated.
I know,
you have to build yourself a career, and you have to have the same equal opportunities in your community as everybody else does.
Yes.
But like I said, man, it's the liberal agenda, and they offer these. Hey, don't give me free health care. Give me opportunity so I can work hard for my own and buy my own health care. You know what I mean? But also, that being said, we also need some kind of regulation on the healthcare industry because they get out of control.
Yep.
I got hit on my motorcycle, and I wasn't hurt. I went to the hospital just because I could have been hurt. My bill for 6 hours in the hospital for an X-ray and a CAT scan was $58,000. That's kind of ridiculous. But at the end of the day, I had the money in my account to take care of to pay my insurance and do all that. I don't want handouts. I just want the same opportunity, especially for all these American kids and these kids that don't have any opportunity. They just need a chance to have work and build a career and a life for themselves. Get handouts. Forget all that. We are conservative people. We like to work hard. But when you deny somebody the opportunity by denying employment, then you get the same result that you see in all these democratic cities where all these Black Lives Matter people talking about, see, Black Lives Matter don't talk for me because I don't know who they are. I don't know who's funding them. But what I'd like to see is put jobs in the community, put training programs in the schools so these kids, when they come out of schools, they're able to read, write, and build a career for themselves. Don't give me welfare. Don't give me medical care.
Well,
give me what I need to take care of my family on my own.
A good example, the Dallas police chief said, hey, quit protesting and join the department. We'll put you in the neighborhoods to solve the problems you're protesting about.
Sure.
And they're getting a huge level of application. So it's the desire is out there, no question about it. But, James, I got to take a break. You're a breath of fresh air.